Hey guys, it's Natalie and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making some beautiful home decor using mostly Dollar Tree items, and we are going to be dabbling again in a little macrame, but please don't be afraid because I know if I can do it, you definitely can. I'm also happy to say that this video is in collaboration with Sarah from Pajama Crafts. And if you haven't checked out Sarah's channel yet, you really should. She's really sweet and she makes some really cool stuff. And yes, again, I am partial because she does farmhouse, she does Americana, upcycle, recycle. She even has videos of her sweet little daughter Brie. She's got really amazing things and you will not be disappointed when you go see her. So I will be leaving a link to her channel in my description box below. And when you're done watching my video, hop on over and see Sarah, tell her I said hi. And for all of you that are here from Sarah's channel or new to my channel, welcome. And if you guys like what you see, why don't you hit the little heart subscribe button that's on the lower right-hand corner of the screen. Also the notification bell, so that this way YouTube will inform you when I'm here again. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Natalie Creates Crafts. And if you do like again what you see, please give me a thumbs up because like I always say, it does help my little channel to grow. All right, guys, I hope you are in a crafting mood like I am, and let's get started. Our first project is the Boho Macrame Wall Decor. You're going to need one dowel, light nautical rope, miter box, hacksaw, and scissors. I started with my dowel. I actually got this at the Home Depot. It was about 4 feet in length, but for this project, we're only going to need 8 inches. I paid $1.50 for that dowel, so I think it was a pretty good deal. I then took my miter box and I placed the dowel right where I had marked it, and then I used my Dollar Tree hacksaw to cut off the piece. I then took the light nautical rope and I unraveled all 3 strands. For this project, you're going to need 2 11-foot bunches. I then took 3 of the strands and I folded them in half and cut them. The other set of ropes we're going to be cutting shorter, and I'll explain later. Now it's time to do the macrame. We took one piece, folded it in half, and we're going to do what's called a lark's head knot. I then took another piece, folded it in half, and did another lark's head knot. Now we're going to take the inner rope from the first strand and we're going to do what's called double half hitch knots. So you're going to put it through, and then you're going to take the rope again and put it through. Then you're going to make another double half hitch knot with the remaining rope. Now you're going to take the rope that you have in your right hand and you're going to put it over the dowel, then put the rope through, and then you're going to take that rope again, this time putting it under the dowel and then pulling it through, making another lark's head knot. We're then going to take another piece and make another lark's head knot to the left. And we're going to repeat the process with the double half hitch knots. I won't be talking too much through this tutorial. I just think it's better for you to just watch what I'm doing, and this way I don't stumble over my words and give you wrong information. Trust me, you're better off just watching. So now we're at the end, and I'm going to do the same, I believe, like I said, a lark's head. I'm going to take it under, put it through, and tighten it. Now we're going to add another piece of rope, and we're going to do the same exact process as we did before. Just make sure it's nice and snug and that the ropes are even. So now I repeated the process again, making double half hitch knots with the remaining cords. I gotta tell you guys, I didn't think that I would be loving this macrame so much, but to me it's really cool how many different knots there are and how many different configurations you can do. So you're going to continue making these knots, making sure every time that you do one, you pull the rope nice and snug. Just remember to do 2 knots per cord. So now we're going to go over and under, and then we're going to go under and over. We're then going to take another piece of cord and we're going to repeat the process by adding another row of the double hitch knots. Now I wanted to make these projects Dollar Tree friendly, but if you have macrame cord or yarn, by all means, you can use that to make this same project. I, of course, also like the fact that it only costs $2 in nautical rope, opposed to the macrame cord that can be pretty expensive. So I continued to do the half hitch knots till I got to the center. Now as the half circle is getting longer, we don't want the macrame to bunch. So I took a 20-inch piece, I folded it in half, and I made a lark's head knot. We're going to do that for 2 pieces. And then we're going to then continue to do the half hitch knots with the remainder of the cords. So now, just as before, I'm going to go over and through, then under and through. So now I took another piece, I folded that in half, then I folded it in half again. Then I grabbed one end, leaving 1/4 on one side and 3/4 of the rope on the other side. And this is exactly how we're going to make our lark's head knot. After you're done making it nice and snug, just be sure that the shorter piece is to the left and the longer to the right. Then we're going to take our longer piece and we're going to measure right underneath where our last knots go. And then we're going to then make another lark's head knot on the other side. This is where the second bunch of cords from our second bundle of light nautical rope comes into play. Once that was nice and secure, I then cut 13 20-inch pieces. I folded it in half and I'm going to make lark's head knots on that cord. Once I was done doing each knot, I made sure that it was snug and I just slid it over to the left, making sure that I had enough room for all 13 cords. I gotta tell you, this is some really strange voiceover with all these blank spaces, but I feel that if you just watch what I do, it's much easier than for me trying to explain. Also remember, when doing these knots, hold both of the cords together to ensure that your ends will be even. When I was done with all of my knots, it was time to give this a little bit of a haircut. So I cut the ropes at a diagonal, forming a V shape. I then took each strand and I separated it by hand. Each piece of cord I separated it about 6 sections. I tried using a comb, but it got really knotty. And believe it or not, doing it by hand really didn't take that much time. And I actually liked the look of it better with chunkier pieces. Once I was done separating all my strands, I then gave it another haircut just to make sure that everything looked nice and even. Now it's time for the hanger. So I took another piece of 20-inch rope, folded it in half, and then gave myself enough so I can make a lark's head knot, but this time for the hanger, the lark's head knot's going to be in the other direction. So if you just watch what I do, it will look like a lark's head, but just upside down. I then made sure it was nice and snug. And then I measured the height that I wanted my hanger to be. then took what was left and I did another lark's head knot on the opposite side. I then took the macrame when it was all done and I flipped it to the back, and then I made 2 knots on either end of the hanger just to keep the knots secured. I then took my scissors and just cut off the excess.
We did it, guys, and it came out so pretty. And of course, as always, the best part of this project is that it costs less than $3 to make.
Our last project is the tassel basket. I used 1 wire basket, jute cord, crafter square jute cord, light nautical rope, glue gun, glue sticks, and scissors. I started with my wire basket. Now these Dollar Tree wire baskets are a little on the narrow side and I wanted to just bump it out just a little bit. So I flipped it and I just pushed it out with my hands. I mean, it is a little wider, as you can see. So then I flipped the basket upside down, and then I took my new thing of jute cord and then I glued a little bit to one tip, and then I glued that to the center of the basket. And then I just added some glue and I just started wrapping the jute around the bottom of the basket. Now I'm going to continue to do this until I get to the edge of my basket. Now I get made fun of this jute cord all the time, but I love this jute cord. I actually got this from Walmart and it was $4, and you really do get a lot of bang for your buck. I can't tell you how many countless projects I make with one. So now when I get to the edge, I just cut off the excess. Now that the bottom is all done, I'm going to flip the basket to the top, and then I took a 6-foot piece of the same jute and I'm going to glue it to the brim, and then I'm going to take the other end of that jute cord and I'm going to put a little bit of glue, let it cool a little bit, and then form it so that it's almost like a needle. This way it just makes it easier to thread through the holes of the top part of the basket without it unraveling. So I just glued the beginnings of that jute, and like I always say, if you have one good hand on the jute, you really don't need to glue all that much. So I only glued from the beginning, and I kept twisting the jute, and the 6-foot piece covered half of the basket. I then applied a little bit of hot glue on the inside where I glued the end of the jute and just cut off the excess. I then flipped the basket to the front, add a little bit of hot glue, thread through the second 6-foot piece, and then just started wrapping it just like I did the first piece. So just hold on to it with one hand as you see me doing, and you won't need to glue anymore, just till you get to the end. So when I did get to the end, I just wrapped it one more time, and then I glued it again from the inside, and then just cut off the excess. I then used a flame to just burn off the little hairs, but just be careful when using a flame. Now that that's all done, we are going to now address the body of the basket. And with that, I used the Dollar Tree Crafter Square jute. So with this part, I just made sure I glued the start of the cord all the way around the base of the basket. Once that was done, I just held the basket with one hand and I just wrapped the jute around it with the other. Every 4 or 5 times I would then stop, just squeeze it down a little bit, and then I would just glue it towards the back of the basket just to secure the rows that I made. I'm going to continue to do that process until I get all the way to the top of the basket. Now, as you can see, I just glued a little here and there. You really don't have to glue a lot. So I thought I was going to be able to get one with that, but it did cover the majority of the basket, and I did have to use another bundle of that jute, but not a lot. So for $1, it really did cover a lot of it. So when I got to the end, I did glue the last row to the brim and just cut off the excess. I still have a lot more left from that second bundle. Now we're going to take that light nautical rope, and just like the first project, I'm just going to unravel all 3 strands. For this project, I only used 1 bundle. Now that we have our basket, I took one of the pieces and I measured it around the top of the basket, leaving me about 6 inches extra. I then cut 9-inch pieces. For this project, I needed 30 altogether. I then folded the pieces in half, and we're going to do lark's head knots for this, making sure you hold the ends so that they're even. So again, with the magic of editing, you could see what I did. Now I have all 30 pieces tied to that one piece of rope. Now I decided to unravel the ends. Just like with the first project, I did it by hand, and it really didn't take that much time. And like I said, I did about 5 to 6 pieces per piece of rope. Once that was done, I then flipped it to the back, and we're going to anchor the ends. So I put a little bit of glue on the end piece and then wrapped it with the remaining rope and just cut off the excess. I also did that to the other side. Now we're going to take our basket and our tassels, and I just started with 1 dollop of glue to get the tassels anchored, and then I just applied the glue and lined up the tassels, and I did that throughout the entire brim of the basket. This project was also pretty quick and easy, and it really did come out pretty. So once I had that done, it was time to give these tassels a little bit of a haircut. And that was it.
I am so happy with the way this basket turned out, or planter, however you'd like. And I think it even looks a little high end. And of course, the best part, this basket costs less than $4 to make. I put flowers in it, but you can put whatever you'd like. And I think this came out absolutely beautiful. Don't forget to go visit Sarah over at Pajama Crafts and tell her I said hi. Thanks again for watching. Remember, you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Natalie Creates Crafts. Please don't forget to subscribe so that this way we'll be seeing each other next time. Until then, happy crafting, God bless, and take care.